Okay, so should I start?
Yeah, what do you think that Muslim women need to be saved?
I think you should put it in a different context, that Muslim women don't necessarily need to be saved, but the Muslim male population needs to be changed, more or less. That's what I think. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm going to point to something very specific. So in Afghanistan, when the Americans left and the Russians left and the Taliban took over, everybody was pretty happy about that because it wasn't a foreign nation trying to take over poor Afghanistan. But unfortunately, most of the men involved with families and women were either imprisoned, were no longer working, or were killed. And so what happens when the Taliban takes over is that women are not allowed out of the house without a full burqa, without a male companion who is their relative. Okay, so let's think about this. So you needed a burqa. You didn't have a burqa. Could you afford a burqa? Probably not. So you probably had to share them with the neighbors. Okay, that's the first problem. Second problem is male relative. So maybe your 6-year-old or 8-year-old that was left at home, maybe they could escort you to the store or whatever, but with what money, since you were not allowed to work, you probably had no education. If you did, you couldn't let anybody know you did. There were no jobs for women. So how are you going to buy your burqa? How are you going to get cash to buy food, if there was any food readily available within walking distance? You probably live in a burned out building. And I'm just talking about Afghanistan right now. But you have to think about Syria, you have to think about Pakistan, Iraq. Like, this is happening all over the Middle East. So do Islamic women need to be saved? They know what the deal is. Do they need to be saved? Something needs to happen. I'm not sure if that's the right way of putting it. But there's a lot. There would be a lot of difficulty if the Taliban or ISIS or Al Qaeda took over, and then they were then left stranded with nothing to wear to cover themselves, no male companion, nobody to give them cash for food. So the answer is that whole region needs to be
before
saved.
the Taliban took over, did they need any help?
I think the whole area did, our whole families. When you're talking about need to be saved, it's very difficult because these were women that were working. These were educated women with books on the shelves that were reading to their kids. And now all of a sudden, their daughters have to dress head to foot. I mean, they had to try to figure out ways to get them out of that situation. And a lot of the times they had to marry their kids off to get them out of that situation so they could be safe.
So in conclusion, what would you say?
Do Muslim women need to be saved? I don't want to judge Muslim women because I know Muslim women and they're super smart people, and the burqa really, the hijab or whatever, really has nothing to do with it. It's the attitudes of,
The leaders?
It's the attitude of the people that take over. You want to call them leaders? Call them leaders. I call them thugs. Okay? But here's the deal. I was going to say something and now I lost my train of thought. They fight. They continue to fight. Okay, let's take a look at one person in particular. Who am I talking about? You know who I'm talking about.
Malala.
I'm going to talk about Malala, okay? Whose father